All right, we're going to give this a shot. I don't know how long this will go. I don't know if it'll do well, but we're going to go for it. I'm going to talk about Minnesota. I'll talk about pretty much every team eventually, but this is my team, weirdly enough. Um, so this is the big question that kind of surrounds Minnesota ever since the Gobert trade is Karl Anthony Towns playing the four. And I think everyone's freaking out about him having to guard fours, right? So as a list of like most of the teams, not all of them, because some of them don't really matter. Some of them are just not even going to be in contention for playoffs, so it doesn't really matter if you can guard them or not. Here's just some guards or some forwards he's going to have to guard throughout the season. You got Cam Johnson, Christian Wood, or Dorian Finney-Smith, depending on who they decide to start, which apparently is going to be Dorian Finney-Smith right now, which is weird. Aaron Gordon, Zion, Kawhi, Anthony Davis, potentially Giannis, potentially Kevin Durant. I mean, and then take a step down, Tobias Harris, Julius Randle, Scotty Barnes, John Collins, Patrick Williams, if he takes a little bit of a jump, could be problematic. So yeah, I don't really like his odds against those guys, specifically the dudes in the West, Kawhi, Zion, those folks. But I don't think it's gonna be that bad because you have Gobert as the safety net, and if they can figure out with Chris Finch some sort of defensive rotation where if the offensive player blows by Cat and Gobert's already kind of parked in the paint, then Cat can just switch out to whoever's on the perimeter, who Gobert is technically guarding. I think it could work. I do think it could work, and you just have to like hope that whoever Cat is supposed to be guarding isn't the greatest playmaker of all time. Beyond that, offensively, is he going to be good as a four? I mean, we see a lot of creators on that list, namely Kevin Durant, Giannis, I mean Kawhi, Zion, maybe. You know, Patrick Williams, another one. Julius Randle creates his own shot. Is Karl Anthony Towns gonna have the mobility to do that? Because I don't know. I don't think he has the greatest handle. I don't think he has the worst handle, but I don't think he has the greatest handle either. So it could be a little tricky. He also needs to be careful because he's gonna be bigger than a good amount of the fours that he's going up against on like a starter basis, and it could be really easy for him to commit a lot of charges, a lot of offensive fouls if he tries to post up, and they're good actors. So I think he's going to have to be careful about that. I think that's worth keeping an eye on. As for the rest of the team, the Gobert trade, I was not a big fan of it. It's growing on me. I'm still not sold. I'm a little worried about it just because of the usual stuff. He's going to be out in the playoffs, more than likely at least. But regular season, I think it's great. As long as he can be viable as like a pick and roll partner with D'Angelo Russell, 14, 15 points a game, play great defense as he always does, elevate the defense. If he can bring Minnesota to a top half seed and get them home court advantage for at least the first round of the playoffs, then I think that trade is worth it for Minnesota, especially looking at their track record of success. Going back to D'Lo, I think that pick and roll with Gobert could be disgusting, especially if you can have Karl Anthony Towns moving off the ball. Now D'Angelo Russell has Anthony Edwards somewhere, Karl Anthony Towns moving, who can absolutely shoot the three, just better than anyone. And then you got Gobert rolling to the rim, who's not a weak guy by any means. So that's a lot of options for D'Angelo Russell. And of course, we know him. He does his whole put the defender on his back type of deal. He can always create another shot out of that. And so even if you've got like Kyle Anderson in the game as your wing, right, you still have 3 to 4 viable offensive options on any given play right there, which is kind of amazing. But that's if Gobert can, be successful as a pick and roll partner, which I think he can be. Anthony Edwards, I think he can average 25, maybe 26. He's got all the potential in the world, and it's gonna come down to whether he lets the offense flow or if he just starts throwing up shots. Because I think he was better about it last year, but I mean he's gonna get his shots up whether the team likes him or not. And so you gotta hope that more often than not he's taking shots that the team likes and that the fans like and that the coach likes and this and that. But I think he can be great, and I think if he applies himself, he can be a an extremely plus defender out there, especially alongside McDaniels. You're looking at a lineup of D'Lo, Ant Man, Jaden McDaniels, Cat, and Rudy. That's that's more positive defenders than negative defenders. I mean, really, Karl Anthony Towns is your biggest weakness out there. If D'Angelo Russell can keep the intensity that he learned from Patrick Beverly, then I think defensively the starting lineup is not going to be bad at all. I think it could actually be really good. Um, Now McDaniels just needs to be an offensive plus because if you've got Gobert and McDaniels out there and neither one of them can reliably score, then it starts to get a little tricky, right? So you need him to step up the 3-point shooting, step up the mid-range shooting. But if he's being a plus defender and he can, shoot 37, 36% from 3, I mean, he's the perfect fit. There's nothing better than that. I'm a big fan of the Kyle Anderson addition. I was a little bit surprised that he left Memphis. I'm not complaining, but I was shocked, and I think that's perfect because when you look at like Utah in the playoffs, they had to take out Gobert all the time, right? But who are they going to put in for him? Royce O'Neal, Bojan, whatever, whoever it might be. I think that Kyle Anderson subbing in for Gobert here is perfect because look at Karl Anthony Towns. He's a 5. Now, can he hang? We're going to see, right? We're talking about this with the 4s, but if he can hang with the 4s, if a team wants to go small and throw, I don't know, just spitballing names Terrence Mann out on the perimeter, right? I think he can hang well enough. I mean, better than Gobert, right? And that's all you need. And Kyle Anderson is for sure a plus defender. So I think that's a great, great add. And I think he's going to have to know his role once it comes to defensive capabilities, in the playoffs when they need to take Gobert out because teams are going small. Thinking about potential seeding, I I would say they could be a 5 seed, maybe a 4 seed. Um, you look at the trajectory of Phoenix; they look horrible right now in terms of just like chemistry. Everyone's talking about it. I'm just gonna add to the pile. It could be a train wreck. It could be fine. It could be a train wreck. Chris Paul could defy the laws of age once again, and DeAndre Ayton could just like forget about everything and be happy to be there. Or, the age could finally catch up to Chris Paul. He could take even just a step back, lose a step, whatever the term is. DeAndre Ayton's mad and wants to leave, so he's not giving it his all. He's got his money already, right? All of a sudden, you're kind of back to Devin Booker and like some role players. All respect to Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, but I mean, come on. They're 4 and 5 on that team, not options 2 and 3. So you see them, they could slide. I don't think Dallas looks great. I mean, you got Luca, but like if Christian Wood's coming off the bench and they're starting JaVale McGee, Dorian Finney-Smith, Reggie Bullock, and Spencer Dinwiddie with Luca. I mean, you take Luca off that team, that's like a 13 seed. So I don't know. I don't know about that one. Obviously, Utah's fallen out. I think Memphis lost some depth. I don't know if they'll drop out of the top 5 seeds, but I think they'll definitely take a step back this year. I don't see them being on a 2 seed or a 1 seed again, especially with how deep this West is and the Clippers coming back. And Denver is hurt still. They'll be healthy eventually, so they'll be scary in the playoffs. But I don't think they're gonna make a huge push for a top 4 seed because Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. are still going to be ramping back up, and as long as they make the playoffs, they're going to be happy. So prediction, I think Minnesota could, you know, 53 wins, get like a 4 seed. I think it's possible. I really do. I think they're that good. So, boom, first video. We're gonna see how this one goes.